So this past weekend, we watched the movie Straw, and I got some thoughts about it. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Darius, and I'm a faith-based content creator here on YouTube. Faith-based content creator. I gotta get that word down. But like I said, this weekend I watched the movie Straw, and I got some thoughts about it from a Christian perspective, of course. I mean, it is a Christian-based channel. But I think Tyler Perry did a great job on this movie, because I think it hit at a lot of points that we all either have experienced or gone through before in our lives. I think we all have been some version of Janiyah from the movie. I think we all can relate with different aspects that she went through. You know, we've seen it, we've probably experienced it, we've seen someone do it, but we can relate to it some kind of way. But I want to put a different swing on it though, to look at it from a Christian perspective. Because if you watch the movie, you know, they never brought it from that point of view. And typically with Tyler Perry movies, you know, he always has some Christian aspect to it, but he didn't do it this time. And I thought that was very clever. And I'll get into more of that as I talk about this though. But there's one particular thing that I did want to touch on, and that was at a job. Now, those scenes when she was at a job, I think probably 99% of the people who's going to look at this, and it's not that many because I'm still growing. Please subscribe. But I think 99% of the people that's going to watch this have experienced some type of this, like she went through on a job. Because jobs can be difficult. And her job, and that boss that she had, no compassion at all. And then she was working in a very difficult area anyway, in customer service. Now, those that work customer service, you know, it can be a grind trying to come to work every day, because nobody ever knows what you're going through. And just like Janiyah, she had a lot of things that she went through before she came to work. Even with everything that was going on, she still came to work with a positive attitude for the most part. Now, she finally gets clocked in, and then she gets this first customer. She's trying to follow the rules. The customer is very rude. Now, those that work in customer service, those type of things, you know how it is when you're trying to do your job and you faced with a rude customer. They don't know what you're going through. They don't know what you've been through. They don't know what type of difficulties or anything that you had before you got here. And you're trying to be the best version of yourself by coming in here and just leaving everything in the past, leaving everything where it was. You know what? I'm coming to work. I'm going to do what I need to do. And then someone tests you. And at work is the one place I know that Satan is always there, because there's always that one person on your job. There's always that one person that can push you to your brink. Y'all know who I'm talking about too. There's always that one person. And the devil clocks in with us. When we clock in, he right there with us, because he's ready to find that one person that's going to push your button. But throughout the scene of all of that, she goes to the back. She thinks she gets this call, and she needs to leave. And here comes that boss. And we all know a boss like that. Some of us may be that boss. I hope not. But we all know someone that's been like that. You have an emergency. You need to leave. No compassion. He didn't have a care in the world about what she needed. Everything that she has gone through until this point. No compassion. She just needed someone to care. And it could have been that very moment, if he cared a little bit. That could have been the one thing that kept her from spiraling out of control. You see, we never know what a person is going through. That's why we should always be cautious and careful around people. Always be nice. Always be polite. Always try to put your best self forward, because you don't know what it is that could be that one thing that's going to finally push that person over the edge. Now, that boss, he was that one person. Everything that she went through, she just couldn't take it no more when it came down to him. And a lot of times these jobs do that because they want you to give everything to them, right? They want you to compromise with them. They want you to reason with them. They want you to do everything in your power for them. But when it comes to you, no compassion. Now, I'm a supervisor at my job, and I try my best to be as compassionate and understanding as I can, because you never know what someone's going through. You never know the challenges that they might be. So I try my best to to just be as reasonable, as flexible as I can, because I know how it is. I know when you get a phone call, a frantic call, and you don't know what to do and you're panicking, you need someone to just listen and be there to care, to show you that they care, to give a little piece of humanity, to give you just a chance to go out and do something that you need to do and come back. You don't know the weight that'll lift off of people, knowing that their boss or that someone that they work for is compassionate enough to give them a chance to go do what they need to do in an emergency. But these jobs, they don't care. All they care about is a job. Wanting to get the job done no matter what. No matter if you have a family emergency, no matter if anything. Only thing they want is what they want. They care nothing about you. And then the moment you need something, they can't help you. Even though a lot of times you come in on the off days, you work late when you don't have to. You do everything in your power for them, and they do nothing for you. But that's neither here nor there. There's actually another video that we could do. But the point is, a little compassion goes a long way. And for Janiyah, that's all she needed. And sometimes that's all we need. That could be the one thing that will prevent us from just going over the edge. And I'm going to get into the Christian aspect of this. But I do want to mention this, though. When you're going through a situation, when you're going through a tough time, when it seems like when you take a half step forward, something is knocking you 50 steps back, when it seems like you're doing all that you can to make it, and it's just like everything is just against you, you know what? And y'all probably not going to like this, but the more that y'all connect with me and join me on this channel, you're going to see that I'm very honest about my Christianity and where I am and how I think sometimes. When you're going through those situations, God is probably the last thing on your mind. And that's just being real. That's just being honest. Even though he should be the first thing on your mind. He should be the first thing on our mind. But when you're going through that moment, that situation, he's probably the last thing that you're thinking about. Because all you're trying to figure out at that point is, how am I going to fix this? How am I going to make it? How am I going to get from point A to point B? How am I going to make this better? And what's the one word I'm saying in all of this? Me. What am I going to do? We rely so much on ourselves, and that's why we fail. Because our honesty, we should rely on God for everything. That's what we should do, because that's what he wants. We should rely on him for everything. But when we get in those moments, when it seems like everything is against us, we ain't thinking about God then. And that's just the truth. Even though we should. Because the Bible says in 1 Peter 5:7, cast all your cares to me because I care for you. That's what he says. Give everything to him because he cares for you. And he'll make whatever it is that you're going through better. But when you're going through it, you ain't thinking about that at the time. And I love that Tyler Perry didn't put that in this particular movie, because that's real. That's life. That's how it is. When you're struggling and you're just trying to get through, you ain't thinking about God, even though you need to, because he's the one that can care for you. He's the one that can change the outcome of what you're going through, right? But these jobs, man, they'll push you to a point to where you just want to snap. And ultimately, that's what happened if y'all saw the movie. And I think about situations like that. Like during that whole scene, I thought about a situation that happened with me. Now, I'm living in Georgia at the time, working this job, love the job. I was at a warehouse loading trucks. It was a housing warehouse. And now I got fired. Not one of my proudest moments, but I got fired. And ultimately, it was my fault. I mean, I did something that I shouldn't do. Loaded the truck, thought I had everything on there, realized I didn't. Instead of going and find it, I scanned it, said it was there. All right, I did it. I admit it. It was my fault. Only time I've done something like that, though. First mistake, right? So the next morning, I get to work. Supervisor calls me in, the boss calls me in now. I didn't think the guy liked me. I honestly still to this day feel like that. He didn't like me at all. So he calls me in, lets me know what's going on, and he lets me go. Now, I'm thinking, this is my first time. Should be a suspension, slap on the wrist, something, first time doing anything. No, he fired me. Because I felt like he didn't like me. Because I felt like he knew I could do his job better than he could. And honestly, I think I could have done his job better than he did. I mean, I could load and unload trucks within minutes, get it done. I even started working my way up doing things in the office. So I was moving up a little bit, and I felt like he didn't like that about me. So we're sitting there. He tells me this, and we're just sitting there. I'm looking at him. He's looking at me. And to me, I feel like he wanted me to grovel. He wanted me to kiss the ring. He wanted me to beg and all this and that. And I'm not doing that. I ain't doing that for no job. But I felt like he wanted that. And I'm not finna give you that. So it is what it is. I go back to my apartment. My lady's staying with me at the time. Now I'm like, what am I going to do? I got this apartment. I need to pay rent. I got bills. Got my lady with me. What am I going to do? Now, luckily, I was able to find something in a few days. Then the jobs were in an abundance, so you didn't have to wait that long. So I was able to find something. And I didn't have to wait long to get there, but it was still in that moment. God was the last thing on my mind at that moment. Because I'm like, man, what am I going to do? How am I going to make it? And that's what these jobs do. They toss you out when they don't need you no more. They care nothing about you. They don't know if you had something going on. He didn't know if I had anything going on. He didn't know if I was having financial troubles and I really needed that job. He didn't know if I was having anything going on. He didn't care. All he cared about was humiliating me, firing me, because I felt like he didn't like me. And he maybe had a grudge, and he found a way to finally get me. And that's another thing. You should never put yourself in a situation where someone has something on you to where they can't do something for you. But again, that's another video. But what should have been in the movie? I think what should have been in the movie, what could have been in the movie, is that Janiyah finally realized what she needed to do. And what do y'all think that is? And now if y'all on this, you're on this channel, you know this is a faith-based channel, so naturally you know where I'm going with this. She should have trusted God. And oh man, that's easy to say, just talking amongst ourselves. Yeah, you gotta trust them. Yeah, we all know that. But when you're going through it, it's hard to do. It's hard to trust them when you're going through. But ultimately you have to. You have to do that. Because he's the only person, he's the only thing that I know that can get you through your situation. I want to read something for you. Matthew chapter 11. We're going to read verse 28 right now. The text says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Now look what he says right there. God says, come to me. In other words, he wants you to bring everything to him. And like I said before, a lot of times we want to handle everything on our own. But he says, come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I'll give you rest. Now, he's not talking about a physical rest right here. He's talking about a rest of a peace, a calm. That when you bring all of your worries, all of your cares to him, he'll give you a comfort that you've never seen in your life. And at that moment, that's all Janiyah needed was a comfort, a rest. Because she was in a state of unrest throughout this whole movie. Because all throughout this movie, she's trying to figure out ways that she can make things better. But had she just given it all to God, had she just given everything to him, given it to him, he would have gave her a comfort that she had not seen in years. But as I said, when you're going through it, it's hard to do that. It's hard to think about that at the time because you're only trying to figure out is how. And look at verse 29. He says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." In other words, he's saying all of this that you're going through, give it to me, and I'm going to balance that thing out for you. He's not going to take it away, but he will balance it out that you will be able to carry it on. that you'll be able to get through it. Yes, there may be a struggle, but that burden ain't gonna be as heavy as it is. God still wants us to go through these things. Now, he's not gonna take it away from us, but he will lighten the load so we can get through it. That's what he's saying here. Put my yoke on you. Allow me to balance that load on you. Allow me to walk with you. Allow me to be on this journey with you. You're not gonna be at it alone. I'm gonna make it to where you're gonna make it through this thing without any scrapes, without any scars. It's gonna be tough getting there, but I'm gonna be right there with you. Then look what he says in verse 20, in verse 30. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Again, he's telling you, once you give it to me, I'll make it easy for you to carry. I'll lighten that load so you can get through this thing. So you can make it through. And that's what Janiah needed. She needed God to be there with her on that journey, to lighten up some of that load. She needed to give it to him. But when you're going through something, it's hard to give it to God. And God wants us to give it to him. Like he said, he says, bring it to me. All of your worries, all of your cares, all of your doubts, all of your fears, bring them to me and watch what I can do for you. That's what we have to do when we're going through difficult stages. When we're at the point of just screaming and pulling our hair out, when we're at our last straw, we need to be handing it over to God. God, I can't take this. I can't do this on my own, but I know if I just give it to you, you'll help me get through. Let me bring this home like this. Y'all remember the woman in Mark 5 that had the issue of blood? 12 long years she had that issue of blood. 12 long years she went to doctors with no cure. 12 long years she probably went to friends and family members thinking they can help her. No cure. 12 long years she probably did home remedies, trying to figure everything out, trying to figure out what she could do to relieve herself of this issue of blood. But nothing. She finally got to a point when she said, I can't take it anymore. I need some help. And you know what she did? She heard about a man that could heal the sick. She heard about a man that could make a lame man walk. She heard about a man that made a blind man see. She said, you know what? I got to get to this man that they say can work miracles. So she set out on a mission to find him. Then she finally gets to where he is, and there's this big crowd around, and she's going through the crowd trying to get there. She just knew, I got to get to him some kind of way. I got to get to him. Battling through the crowd, I can imagine her just, excuse me, please let me get by. I gotta get to this man because I know if I get to him, he's gonna heal me. Let me stop right here. You know what we do a lot of times? We finally get to that stage in our life where you say, you know what, I just got to give it to Jesus. And we're doing all that we can to get there. And then something gets in our way. And then we're just like, I can't take it no more. And then we stop. She could have allowed that crowd to stop her. You know what, I just can't get through. I can't get to him. I'm just going to give up. But she didn't do that. She kept going. She said, if I can just touch him, he'll heal me. And not only that, if I could just touch the hem, if I can just get a piece of him, I know he'll heal me. Then she manages to finally touch the hem on his garment, and we know the rest of the story. He tells her, your faith healed you, or your faith has made you whole. It wasn't the fact that she touched him. It was the fact that she knew that if she just got to him, she believed without a shadow of a doubt that he could do something that nobody else could. She believed that if I could just touch a piece of him, he could take this thing away from me that has been ailing me for 12 long years. So if you're out there, if you're watching this, if you've been dealing with something for weeks, months, years, you've done everything in your power to get rid of it and you just can't seem to do it, I think we need to take advice from that woman. That if I can just get to him, that if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I believe that he could heal me. If I can just have faith enough in him to know if I give all of my worries and my cares, he'll do some amazing things. Just like the tagline says, when things seem impossible, that's where my God shows up. He told her, your faith made you whole. We gotta have faith. that whatever it is that I'm going through, no matter how difficult it may seem to me, if I just give it to God, oh, he'll see me through if I'm willing. And listen to what I say, if I'm willing to give it to him and I believe it, oh, he'll make a way out of no way. So if you're dealing with something, I urge you, I beg you, have faith in the man that healed the sick. Have faith in the man that can make a blind man walk. Have faith in the man that took a woman that had an issue of blood for 12 years. Because of her faith, he healed her. I beg you, I urge you to get to know him. Because if you do, I guarantee you he'll make the impossible, or he'll definitely make it possible. Now, if you liked what you hear, please like, subscribe, share with someone who might need it. And don't forget, where impossibility ends, God begins. Stay blessed.